depose. 3 words that may have just ended a second life. Briana Boston, a 42-year-old mother of 3, is facing a felony charge of written threat to kill or injure, conduct a mass shooting, or an act of terrorism, and up to 15 years in prison after a heated phone call with a customer support rep at Blue Cross Blue Shield. Let's break down Boston's charges and the evidence, and let's find out what happens next. As always, I'm America's attorney. I'm a lawyer helping over 20,000 people over the past 23 years, and I'm your go-to source for epic legal breakdowns about the current events in today's society. Before we get started, let me be clear. I'm categorically opposed to anyone threatening the life of another, even inferentially. I stand by the principle that you should treat other people the way that you want to be treated. Just because someone is unkind or rude or even careless, that may not make them a criminal. And in fact, it usually doesn't. Now, let's get started. Before the 10th of December, the general public had no idea who Briana Boston was. But now, thanks to this debacle, we know a little bit about Miss Boston. We know that she has 3 kids. We know that she's not a gun owner and that she has no priors. We know that she had recently had multiple medical claims denied by Blue Cross Blue Shield. And we know that she's at risk of becoming a felon after allegedly threatening the insurance company. The decision by law enforcement to charge Briana has angered many Americans who are upset with the American healthcare system and see it as a violation of Boston's right to free speech. Let's get into the details of her charges and see if we can figure out why she was charged with this specific crime and what happens next. Again, Briana was charged with a felony count of written threat to kill or injure, conduct a mass shooting, or an act of terrorism under Florida Statute 836.10, which reads, "It is unlawful for any person to send, post, or transmit, or procure the sending, posting, or transmission of a writing or other record, including an electronic record, in any manner in which it may be viewed by another person, when in such writing or record the person makes a threat to kill or to do bodily harm to another person, or conduct a mass shooting or an act of terrorism." It would be hard to overstate just how much I oppose mass shootings and domestic terrorism in all of its expressions. I would hope we'd all be on the same page about this. But I'm also a big fan of living in a free country, and having laws applied rationally and fairly is a big part of that. Look, I understand that when you speak to an insurance company, the phone call is recorded, and there's therefore an electronic record potentially within the meaning of the statute. But in a minute, we're going to look at the rest of the statute to see if we can get any more clarity about that issue. Now, the things that you can't do in the written record under the Florida statute, the things outlawed by the statute, are to talk about killing another person or shooting a group of people or blowing stuff up. That's what an act of terrorism means in that context, since individual killing and group killing are already covered. So let's put our thinking caps on today and ask, since she didn't threaten to blow up a building, she must have either threatened an individual killing or a mass shooting. Let's talk about that Mangione shooting. He's the one who popularized the concept of demonizing the insurance company by pointing out their delay, deny, depose strategy. Did Mangione engage in a mass shooting? Not at all. He shot one person in the back. He shot him like a coward. Then he ran away. He wasn't a mass shooter. And I don't think there's a way you can foreseeably connect, in a criminal case, an individual murder with a proposed mass shooting. They're both killing, but they're not the same crime. To make it more clear, if you watch the Mangione shooting video, there's a bystander right there. His killing was targeted. The bystander was never in danger. So we can scratch mass shooting off the list of things that Miss Boston might have been threatening. So that leaves us with Boston threatening an individual killing. Did she? Who was she threatening? The call center employee? The CEO? Someone else? Is she saying that she's going to do the killing? I'll tell you my take. The easiest reading of what she said is that she understands why Mangione did what he did. I mean, assuming it was him. Yikes. This whole time I've been talking like it was a foregone conclusion that he was the CEO murderer, but maybe he wasn't? Anyway, she isn't saying that she owns a gun, that she has a target, but instead that she totally understands why someone would be willing to kill someone at an insurance company. If she is saying that she would hypothetically cheer on a murderer, that makes her a bad person at that moment, but it doesn't make her a killer, at least not in the eyes of the law. As for any evidence of Boston's crimes against humanity, crimes against an insurance company, the arrest affidavit only references the recorded call between Boston and the insurance agent. Near the end of the call, Boston stated in sum and substance, delay, deny, depose, you people are next. This phrase references an exact phrase used during recent current events regarding the UnitedHealthcare insurance company CEO who was shot and killed in Manhattan, New York. Shell casings were recovered at the scene and had the words delay, deny, depose handwritten onto the shell casings, which I'll pause here and say it's just not accurate. The words on the bullets found at the scene of the shooting were deny, defend, depose, which are speculated to be based off of a common phrase used to describe insurance company tactics delay, deny, defend. The affidavit continues with, Boston further stated the healthcare companies played games and deserved karma from the world because they are evil. I believe these statements were meant to threaten the insurance company by using the UHC CEO's homicide to her advantage. I'm always surprised when a law enforcement officer is such a snowflake. Allow me to please read to you the actual text of the statute under which Boston is charged. Section 1. As used in this section, the term electronic record means any record created, modified, archived, received, or distributed electronically which contains any combination of text, graphics, video, audio, or pictorial represented in digital form, but does not include a telephone call. I'll have to think back here. But didn't this Boston encounter happen on a telephone call? Oh, right. It exactly did. I thought I was losing my mind there for a minute. Now, this episode is brought to you by overreacting law enforcement officers and prosecutors seemingly incapable of analytical reasoning. Anyone who reads the statute can see it does not apply to the Boston phone call. Period. Full stop. So then, why did they charge her with a violation of this law? Well, I'm glad you asked. Because they couldn't find any other law to charge her under. What she said, while immature and low character, was not a crime. I mean, not in the country pictured here. As I mentioned earlier, the public has reacted fairly negatively to Briana's arrest. Many believe it to be a violation of her First Amendment rights. Boston's husband even started a GoFundMe to raise money for her legal defense fund, which as of the filming of this video has over $68,000 raised. Some of the words of support on the fundraiser include the threat of 15 years of punishment for being frustrated with a customer service rep. Not making a clear threat is a good example of how our democracy has collapsed. What's being done to you is pure political theater. You should never have spent a single second in prison. 15 years for words spoken in perfectly understandable frustration at health insurance companies who bankrupt, betray, and kill tens of thousands of their clients each year. Such excessive sentencing by the judges isn't a sign of strength from the elites. It's proof of their fear and weakness. And many, many more statements just like that. So with so much public support, why did law enforcement decide to charge Briana to such an extent? Well, because they want to make an example of her. I'm not kidding. They think in their perverse, un-American minds that if they make an example of her, then other phone calls like this won't happen. That's not how the criminal law system in America is designed to work. Nothing can be criminal here in the U.S. unless and until it's clearly in the ambit of a written criminal statute enacted by the duly elected representatives of the people. That's what the laws are. They're an expression of the will of the people. If you can have cops just make it up as they go along, well then you no longer have a free country ruled by the people. You have a bunch of little tyrants. To be clear, I do not think that people should speak to one another the way that Miss Boston did. I don't think it makes the world a better place. And I think that to have a great country, we need to all be great people. But I am so fundamentally opposed to slapstick, ad hoc criminal law creation by moron prosecutors that I am incensed by Miss Boston being charged with a crime at all. In fact, I'm so frustrated that she got charged that I wanted to bring her here on this channel. I reached out to her by text message a few hours ago, but as of the recording of this video, I still haven't heard anything from her. Miss Boston, I'm on your side. Look, she's not going to get convicted of this crime, and if she does, it'll get reversed on appeal. I'd expect the charges to be dropped within 30 days of the first appearance of her attorney in this case. So she does need to lawyer up ASAP if she hasn't done so yet. I mean, that's why that GoFundMe's there. But what are your thoughts on Briana's charges? She's pleaded not guilty to the charges despite being recorded. Do you agree that she's not guilty? Is the government overreacting with its criminal charges? Please drop your pro se opinion down below in the comments and let me know what you're thinking. And don't forget to lawyer up with me, America's attorney, by subscribing. You don't need a GoFundMe to join my channel. And I'll be back soon with more legal breakdowns and maybe even a happy update on Briana's case. And I'll see you then. Since she didn't threaten to blow up to describe insurance company tactics. To be clear, I do not